Okay, hey guys, welcome back to Supercross BMX, the best YouTube channel in all of BMX. So today, we've got something for you. What do you, the McLaren, Formula 1 F1 race cars, Lamborghini, Porsche, what do you guys all have in common? Do you want to find out? Today on Supercross BMX's YouTube channel, you're gonna find out. So make sure you subscribe, like, come on, let's keep this thing going. Let's grow this channel, let's grow this algorithm, let's make BMX racing be the best thing on YouTube. Today, we're gonna teach you all about the Supercross F1. Let's go in.
Yeah, dude.
All right, guys, here in my hands is the latest and greatest carbon fiber BMX race frame ever created. I say this with extreme confidence. Part of the reason that I can tell you that this is the latest and the greatest is the testing and everything we've gone through. Part of the way that we know it's the best is because of the failures that we've had. If you know anything about Supercross BMX's history, we started testing carbon fiber BMX race frames back in 1994. So we have almost 30 years of history in carbon fiber BMX race frames. They worked well on the BMX racetrack, but they were horrible on the trails. BMX Plus magazine got a hold of one of our frames to do a test, and they destroyed it. Neil Wood broke the frame. They actually publicized the test. It was horrible. It almost put us out of business. Up behind me on the screen, you're gonna see some photos of the magazine. It was bad. Originally, we did it to where it was a chromoly rear end, chromoly head tube, a carbon fiber top tube, a carbon fiber down tube. So with that frame, we were working with a company, Battle Mountain Bikes, to actually try and move carbon fiber technology along. We were trying to make our race frames lighter, we were trying to make our race frames stiffer, and we were trying to move things further forward. They worked great out there for racing. There was a total of 50 of those frames that were built. When we were first doing the frames, the top tubes, down tubes were bonded into the structure. By bonding them into the structure, it worked really well. We had a lot of riders out there racing them, and they had no failures, no problems. When we sent the test bike to BMX Plus magazine, Battle Mountain Bikes, who we were working with, they were starting to have a problem with their rear ends starting to separate to where the bonding wasn't holding up. The adhesive was not holding. So they were having issues with the carbon fiber separating from the lugs. They solved that issue by putting in a stainless steel rivet to drill through the carbon fiber, drill through the lug, put in a stainless steel rivet, and have that stainless steel rivet add a little bit of an extra structural, supposedly bonding area for that frame. And that was working for them on their rear triangles on their full suspension frames. So they advised us to do the same thing on the front triangle. So we did. We put in the stainless steel rivets just as they had advised, and when Neil Wood was out testing the bike, that's where the frame broke. The frame broke right at that stainless steel rivet. The carbon fiber sheared, the carbon fiber separated, and it went away. With that, we swore we would never do carbon fiber again because carbon fiber was prone to catastrophic failures. It did not give you a warning. It would hold strong until it wouldn't. That's part of what gave carbon fiber a really bad name for a long time. Carbon fiber itself was great material, and with the tubing, I was able to take the tubes, and I was showing Mike Daly and the guys over at BMX Plus back then. I mean, you could take the carbon fiber, you could bang it on a curb, you could do whatever. It was super strong. It was a great material, and it was until it would separate. It would just cause a catastrophic failure, which we firsthand had that happen. Luckily, it didn't happen on any of our riders that were out there. It only happened on the test bike. We gave BMX Plus another one that was just bonded and that one didn't have any failures. It was only the ones that had the rivets that had any kind of an issue. We recalled those frames. There are still a few out there in the public. I've seen them go for big money on eBay. We swore off carbon fiber. Carbon fiber kept advancing, just like all materials. Steel, if you watch the video that we did on our SX250 frame, you know that steel started off as just a regular steel. It advanced to 4130. Then you started getting all the Reynolds tubes, the True Temper tubes, the Tongay tubes, the air hardened materials, the Mangalloys. You know, everything advances. Aluminum, it advances to where you've got your 6061s, then the 6013s, and the 6063s, and the scandiums, the 7005s with the scandium mixed in. You've got the EA6Xs, you know, every material advances. Carbon fiber kept doing the same thing. We had been working with Easton. Easton had been working with a couple different carbon fiber companies. One of them was Toray. Toray came to us in 2010, showed us a new resin material that they were working on that was called nano alloy. And the nano alloy technology that'll be up here on the screen behind me, nano alloy made the carbon fiber to where carbon fiber was no longer a catastrophic failure, to where the nano alloy resin would actually flex and it would crush. It would act like a steel. It would act like an aluminum. It would not do the catastrophic failure. It would give you a warning. Once we saw that that type of resin was available to work with the carbon fiber, we decided that, hey, this is gonna be something that we wanna work with. Let's start trying to do this. Again, with carbon fiber, it's something that keeps advancing. There's the wet layups, there's the pre-preg layups. Obviously, we opt for a pre-preg layup. Pre-preg layup means that we are putting our faith into the carbon fiber manufacturer to lay the resin into the material at a proper amount so that we can guarantee to you that you're getting the most efficient amount of resin into the carbon fiber as possible. We also do a high compactation. So with doing the high compactation, we're getting the most amount of carbon fiber and the least amount of resin to build the most strength into the frame. Also by reducing the weight, because the resin is what bonds the carbon fiber together and allows the structure to form. It's also one of the heavier parts of the frame. It's also one of the weaker parts of the frame because it's just a bonding material. Again, I'm probably getting a little long-winded for all you guys. You probably don't need to know all of that stuff, but carbon fiber advanced. So when carbon fiber started to advance, we started to play around with it and we started to build some forks out of it. We figured a fork is one of the most stressed parts on the bike, and it's gonna take one of the heaviest hits. If that can withstand what's going on with it, let's give it a shot. As I was saying, when we first started working with Toray with the nano alloy technology, one of the first things we did was the fork because it was the high stress item and we wanted to make sure it could hold up. We also were one of the first ones to do the full monocoque on the fork to where it's tip to tip, one piece of carbon fiber. And by doing this technology, we're able to make this fork a lot stronger and a lot lighter. And after learning and going through this whole technology structure, that's where it led us to be able to start to do this on the frame. What a project it was. To do a full monocoque frame where you're not using any of the bonded sections, not doing any of the lugs, it was a nightmare of a project. It was a fun project to try and advance BMX forward. I'm just a bike geek, guys. Honestly, I'm doing this for you guys because I want to ride one. I love it. We just put together one of the Vision Cruisers for myself and talking about maybe doing a 26 or who knows if we do or not. I just love the technology. I'm a bike geek. I want to have the best. just because having the best is cool. I want to make sure that we can bring that to you guys so that you guys can have the best if you want the best. Because I know that I'm gonna try and make sure we keep making sure that there's nothing that you can buy that's better than what we can offer for you. Otherwise, there's no sense for us to make it. With that, we ended up moving forward and we started doing the Envy Black. And we introduced the Envy Black in 2014. And with it, the one tagline that we did was not all carbon is created equal. We meant that when we said that, because with it, just as we do on our steel frames and just as we do on our aluminum frames, we're making sure that the materials that we put into our frames is the best material that we can possibly put into it. There's different levels of carbon fiber, there's different grades of carbon fiber, there's different levels of the resin. We wanna make sure that we're always giving you the absolute best. It doesn't mean that our bike is for everybody. It means that our bike is for the people who really want to have the most performance, the absolute pinnacle of what they can achieve. So by doing that, we've been trying to stress to make sure that everything works for you in the best possible way. You're getting the best power transfer on the bike, you're getting the most strength, you're getting the least weight, you're getting the best handling through the turns, it holds rigid. It's something that the technology has been moving forward from race cars, from rocket ships, from airplanes, which again, if you go back to our steel video, you'll see that airframe structure is what has caused a lot of our race frame structure to be able to advance, not just on the steel frames and the aluminum frames, on the carbon fiber frames as well. Everything has a reason for being. The carbon fiber frames, that's exactly what we have, is we have a reason for being, and the reason for being is to be the best. As we've moved forward, we had the Envy Black, and the Envy Black started off with a Toray T700S material. Toray T700 was one of the best materials that were available at the time. It is a high impact material. It's a high modulus material, and it's designed specifically for certain high stress loads. It's what works best for BMX race frames at the time. The S was for the pre-preg, and that way we ensured that we had the proper amount of resin, and we used the nano alloy resin. So again, when we introduced the Envy Black, we were making sure that we were putting out the absolute best materials and making sure that you had the best race frame possible. So not only did you have our world championship winning geometry, but you also had the best materials, the best workmanship, and the best quality available packed into that race frame for you. We advanced forward from the Envy Black to the Envy Black 2. And the Envy Black 2 was the same frame as the Envy Black, but we changed up the material. We were able to work with Toray and get a hold of their Toray T1100KS material, which was a higher modulus, a higher impact, a stronger material, a lighter material, something that was able to do a better power transfer. It reduced the frame weight a little bit, it increased the strength, it increased the power transfer, and produced a better frame. With that Envy Black, it was still a frame that was a lugged frame, to where you had a head tube that was bonded and molded, you had a seat mast area that was molded and bonded, you had top tubes that were bonded in, down tubes that were bonded in, and all put together into one frame. As things have progressed, we came forward and we now have the Vision F1. And the Vision F1 is a full monocoque race frame. It's one piece of carbon fiber from tip to tip. So there's no lugs in the frame, where on the Envy Black, this was one piece, this was one piece, this was one piece, this was one piece, and then it would be bonded, 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 much like our original race frame that we had done back in 1994. Although this was a much better technology. Now, with the Vision F1, this is all one piece. There's no bonding. It's a complete EPS liner, so it's an expanded polystyrene on the inside, So the inside of the frame is just as smooth as the outside. It has a high compactation steel mold, so it's compacted into a mold, so it's wrapped around the EPS liner, it's compacted in. It's the same way that the McLaren M4 is produced. It's the same way that the McLaren F1 is produced. It's the same way that actual Formula F1 race cars are produced. It came as no surprise when we named it the Vision F1, which we actually use it as for Fiber 1, Carbon Fiber 1. It also lends into Formula 1 racing, which this is the same technology. So again, it's not for everybody. This is for the people who want extreme performance. This is when you're at the absolute pinnacle of the sport, when you know that you need the best and you demand the best, this is where you go. Now, with the Vision, a lot of people have been talking about our rear end design. We have been a proponent of the disc brake system for a long time, and that's part of why we've made the Vision where it is a V-brake and a disc brake frame. So you can actually remove these V-brake mounts. It's very simple with these two bolts, and we'll show you here, there's a frame to where this rear end can be completely smooth, set up just for the disc, or you can run V-brakes. You have internal cable routing. The internal cable routing is for the V-brakes, or you have the internal cable routing for the disc brakes. Also, for the disc brakes, you need to have a captive rear end. You can't have the horseshoe style of dropout. I was trying to make my hand do a horseshoe, but it's kind of weird this way, so I'll do it this way. But with a horseshoe style dropout, that disc brake is gonna start to spread it, and it starts to damage the frame. So you need to have it being captive. So we have a fully captive rear end, and with this captive rear end, you have the flip chips. And with the flip chips, you're able to have either a long wheelbase or a short wheelbase. You're not confined to just a single wheelbase, because BMXers, we know that you either want to have a long wheelbase for certain tracks, a short wheelbase. You have a preference for the way that you like to ride. If you like to do manuals, if you're wanting to jump, if you need a long wheelbase because you've got a strong back and you want to keep that front end down out of the gate, if you prefer the long wheelbase for more stability through the manuals, if you want a short wheelbase to be able to get the front end up quicker. So if you've got a personal preference with these flip chips, you've got different options. Also, because of the flip chips, we have it set up for the idler. The idler works very simply. It slides up into the dropout, connects for the flip chip, and then the idler here will ride along the chain and take up any of the slack that you have. So it works really easy. So with this Vision, we've really tried to set it up to make it very forward thinking for you, to be the absolute best BMX race frame that's on the market. With it being carbon fiber, it is very light, very strong. The power transfer that you get on the section here is very good. As you can see, it's very wide. You have the tapered section here for the seat mast, the down tube, the rear end. Everything is optimized for performance for you. This is a pure race machine. This is what you want when you're riding for the best. So it's not something for everybody. If you're a casual racer, if you're not ready to actually work on your bike, if you're not ready to take the time and really dedicate your life to your hobby and to your sport, probably not going to be the frame for you. If you know that you're at the absolute pinnacle of your sport, and that you're demanding the best and that it's what you need, then that's what you're gonna wanna go to. That's the same with all carbon fiber. Carbon fiber, it's where you're showing that you've got a dedication on your sport. It's not just for BMX. I mean, you're not gonna go out and buy a McLaren just because you wanna drive it to the store. I mean, when you're going out and buying a supercar, you're doing it because you know that you enjoy driving. You wanna go out to the track days. You wanna go out and ride, drive. You wanna go out and have that performance. You want to have the absolute best. When you're buying the Lamborghini, you know that it's going to be the best thing out there. It's the performance machine. And that's exactly what we're trying to bring to you as a BMXer to make sure that you have the best. I hope I've been able to give you a little bit of a history on Supercross's carbon fiber, showing you a little bit from our history of where it started off in a catastrophic failure and where we've come along now to where, you know, this has been voted USA BMX Golden Crank Bike of the Year 7 times now. So thank you. That's a history-breaking 7 times, and I thank you guys for doing that for us. It really humbles me and shows me the love from you guys, and I want to continue to try and do our best, and wait till you see what we've got up our sleeves to try and keep making things bigger and better and faster and making it just be the best BMX experience for you guys. I hope that this was something that you learned a little bit from today and you enjoyed the channel. All right, guys, I hope you learned a little bit about the carbon fiber technology that we brought into BMX racing. I wish I had enough money for a McLaren, so maybe one of you guys, you know, you wanna donate down here. I think there's a little button. Someone told me that you can donate, you know, it's like a super thanks or something like that. I think we only need like, what, maybe 100,000 of you to hit that button. Maybe we can go get a McLaren. If we do that, I'll give you all a ride, I promise. If we get 100,000 of you to hit that, I'll take all 100,000 of you for a ride in the McLaren. I don't know where I'll get the money for the gas for the McLaren, but I think it'll be fun. It's the same carbon fiber on our bike that'll be on that McLaren. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Give us a like, give us a share. Let's keep pumping BMX racing up on the algorithm. Come on, guys, let's do this. Let's grab your bike, let's go ride. Have a great day, guys.